Ever get that I need it now feeling?
Yeah.
That urge to buy something, like right this second? We're all susceptible to impulse buying.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
We're
today,
going deeper
way deeper.
into the why.
That's right. We're taking a deep dive into the urge to splurge.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a PhD dissertation by Ann Mose.
Okay.
She breaks down how the media around us, from flashy store displays to online ads,
Those ads.
can influence our urge to buy things we weren't even planning on getting.
This isn't just about resisting that random candy bar at the checkout.
No.
Mose is talking about the subtle cues
Right.
that shape our decisions,
Yeah,
often without us even realizing it.
it's true.
Given how intertwined our digital and physical worlds have become,
Oh, absolutely.
understanding these cues is more crucial now than ever.
I think that's a great point. So crucial.
Absolutely. Mose starts by defining impulse buying as unplanned purchases,
Okay.
driven by a sudden strong urge.
So not just like grabbing milk while you're grocery shopping.
No, not at all. She makes a distinction between an impulse visit,
Okay.
like copping into a store you hadn't planned on going to.
Oh, so just kind of like wandering in.
Exactly.
Okay.
And an impulse purchase, the actual act of buying something on a whim.
Got it. Both unplanned, but different levels of commitment.
For sure.
So what kind of media cues are we talking about here? Well, I know Mose digs into 3 specific types.
She does. She focuses on phygital cues,
Okay.
CSR advertising cues,
Okay.
and mediated mindfulness cues.
Lots of cues.
Let's start with those phygital ones.
Okay.
The ones that blur the lines between the digital and physical.
So like what? Like AR stuff?
Think those interactive screens you see in store windows these days?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Those are everywhere.
They are?
Mose actually did some fascinating field experiments with those interactive screens,
She did.
testing how different levels of interactivity
Yeah.
affected people's urge to enter the store and buy something.
That's right.
It's not just about having a screen there. She manipulated how much control people felt they had over the experience.
Exactly. She defined high interactivity using 3 key elements.
Ooh, 3. Okay, wait on me.
Active control.
Okay.
Can the user swipe, zoom, personalize their experience on the screen?
Okay, makes sense.
Two-way communication.
Okay.
Does the screen react to the user providing feedback that makes it feel like a conversation?
So almost like it's talking back to you.
Yeah. And synchronicity.
Synchronicity, okay.
Does the screen respond instantly, creating a seamless back and forth?
Oh, so it's like super responsive.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you.
So she set up these interactive displays in a real store window.
Oh, not in a lab.
Nope. A real store window showcasing the store's collection.
Okay, cool.
And had people interact with them.
Yeah, what?
In the high interactivity condition, people could swipe through items, zoom in, even like things, and leave comments.
It's like online shopping in person.
Right. With the screen responding to their actions in real time.
So they felt very in control.
Very much so.
What about the low interactivity?
The low interactivity condition was much more passive. You could view items,
Okay.
but in a set order and without the ability to zoom or interact beyond just seeing what was presented.
So less control.
Much less.
Uh-huh.
Think of it as more of a digital lookbook.
Okay. So one's like browsing a website and the other's like flipping through a catalog.
Great analogy.
What I found surprising is that the more interactive those screens were, the more people felt the urge to go into the store and buy something.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It seems like the more control we think we have, the more susceptible we are to making impulsive decisions.
That's what Mose calls the self-agency paradox.
Ooh, that's a good one.
The more we feel in charge,
Yeah.
the less we critically evaluate our choices and give in to those immediate urges.
It makes you wonder if companies are deliberately exploiting our desire for control to drive sales.
That's a valid point. I mean,
It's like they're giving us the illusion of choice
yeah,
while subtly nudging us toward a purchase.
that's a good way to put it. Mose's research raises some interesting questions about the ethics of these persuasive technologies.
For sure. But for now, let's shift gears
Okay.
and look at those CSR advertising cues.
Right.
Essentially, we're talking about ads that highlight a company's social or environmental good deeds.
Right.
You know those feel-good campaigns?
Exactly.
Those are everywhere these days.
They are everywhere.
Companies love to showcase their commitment to social responsibility.
They love it.
But Mose went beyond just observing this trend.
She did.
She wanted to know how these cues influence our impulse buying behavior.
She specifically tested whether ads focusing on the consumer's benefit,
Okay.
like this will make you happy,
Okay.
versus the causes benefit.
Got it.
Like buying this helps the environment.
Okay, so like two different angles.
Exactly.
Had a different impact on impulse purchases.
Yeah. And she used cookies again.
Cookies again. Really?
It seems like they're her go-to for these experiments.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works.
In her experiments,
Yeah.
Mose used the same delicious cookies,
Same cookies. Okay.
but framed the ads differently. Some emphasized how tasty the cookies were,
Mm-hmm.
while others focused on how buying them supported a worthy cause.
Interesting.
And she didn't just ask people if they'd buy the cookies.
What did she do?
She actually let them buy them,
Oh, wow.
with points earned during the study,
Oh, that's a good idea.
measuring real behavior, not just intentions.
I like that.
Yeah.
So did those feel-good messages lead to more impulse purchases?
The results were intriguing. Ads that emphasized the cause's benefit
Yeah.
actually led to significantly more impulse purchases. When people felt like they were doing good by buying the cookies,
Yeah.
they were more likely to justify that unplanned splurge.
It's like almost like tricking yourself into thinking it's okay.
A little bit, yeah. It speaks to the complex interplay between our desire to do good
Yeah.
and our tendency to give in to temptation.
Oh, absolutely. So we're more likely to splurge if we tell ourselves it's for a good cause.
It seems that way.
Like we're giving ourselves permission to indulge because it aligns with our values.
Right. But there's another type of media cue that Mose explores.
Oh, there's more.
There is. It's mediated mindfulness.
Everyone's talking about mindfulness these days.
It's very popular.
It's often touted as a way to curb impulsive behavior.
Yeah. Be more mindful and you'll resist those urges.
Right. I admit going into this research, I assumed mindfulness would be the key to resisting those impulse buys.
It's certainly been presented as a potential solution.
So is it the magic bullet or not?
Well, the findings are a bit more nuanced
Okay.
when it comes to specific impulse buying urges and behaviors.
How so?
She tested both trait mindfulness,
Okay.
which is our general disposition to be mindful.
Like if you're just a mindful person in general.
Exactly. And state mindfulness,
Okay.
a temporary state of mindfulness induced through guided meditation videos.
So you're put into a mindful state.
Right. Essentially, she wanted to see if being in a mindful state
Mm-hmm.
would make people less likely to make those spur-of-the-moment purchases.
Okay, I'm following you.
What's fascinating
Yeah.
is that while Mose did confirm the link between high trait mindfulness
Okay.
and lower overall impulse buying tendencies.
So mindful people in general buy less impulsively.
Right. But she found NO effect of mindfulness on specific impulse buying urges
Really?
or behaviors.
So even after watching those meditation videos,
Yeah.
people were just as likely to make those unplanned purchases.
That's what the data suggests.
So does this mean mindfulness is totally useless when it comes to curbing our impulse buys?
That's a great question, and one that Mose grapples with in her dissertation.
Okay.
She suggests that the lack of effect
Yeah.
might be due to something called self-presentation bias.
Self-presentation bias? What's that?
Basically, people might say they're mindful
Okay.
because it makes them look good.
Right. I'm so mindful.
Exactly. But their actions might not match up.
So maybe those self-reported mindfulness studies aren't giving us the full picture.
That's a possibility. It's certainly something to consider.
It is. It underscores the importance of looking at actual behavior,
Yes,
not just what people say they do.
I agree. This brings us to a really important point.
Okay, hit me with it.
Even if mindfulness itself doesn't directly stop us from making impulse purchases,
Okay.
understanding these media influences is a huge first step.
Right. Like knowledge is power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about awareness. Recognizing those subtle cues that trigger the urge to buy
Right.
is crucial for becoming more conscious consumers.
So it's not about never giving in to those urges.
No, not at all.
We all do
I
sometimes,
do.
but about understanding why we're feeling them in the first place.
I think that's key.
Which is why Mo's research is so important.
I agree.
We're starting to see just how susceptible we are to these subtle influences.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
But let's dive back into the specifics of her experiments.
Okay.
I'm curious to hear more about how she designed those interactive screen studies and what exactly she found.
Let's do that. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. We're back and ready to unpack more of Ann Mo's research.
Yeah, let's dive back in.
Before the break, we were discussing how interactive screens and appeals to social responsibility can really tap into those impulse buying urges.
It's true.
Huh?
Those subtle cues can really get us.
Exactly. And I'm particularly intrigued by those interactive screen experiments Mo's conducted.
Okay.
You mentioned she set them up in a real store window. What kind of store was it?
She chose a women's clothing store
Okay.
on a bustling shopping street in Amsterdam.
Makes sense.
The idea was to create a realistic setting where people would encounter the screen as they went about their day.
So it wasn't some artificial lab environment?
No, not at all.
But how did she manipulate the level of interactivity? What were people actually doing with these screens?
Well, imagine walking by a storefront and seeing a screen showcasing the store's latest collection.
In the high interactivity condition, you could swipe through various outfits, zoom in on details that catch your eye, even like items, and leave comments.
Whoa, it's like online shopping but in a physical space?
Right.
I can see how that would be engaging.
And the screen responded to those actions in real time,
Oh, wow.
creating that feeling of a two-way conversation.
What about the low interactivity condition? What was that like?
In that case, you could view items but in a set order,
Okay.
and without the ability to zoom or interact beyond just seeing what was presented. Think of it as more of a digital lookbook.
Okay, so one's like browsing a website and the other's like flipping through a catalog.
Exactly.
I like that analogy. And Mose replicated these experiments 3 separate times,
She did.
each time making sure participants actually perceived the high interactivity screens as more interactive.
Yeah, it's important to make sure you're measuring what you intend to measure.
For sure. Now for the results. We know the more interactive screens increase the urge to visit the store, but did they also increase the urge to buy something? Did people actually want to buy stuff?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
In 2 out of the 3 experiments, high interactivity,
Yeah.
by boosting that feeling of self-agency, did increase the urge to go into the store.
Okay, so far so good.
However, the results for impulse buying urges were less consistent.
Less consistent. What do you mean?
In one experiment, the more interactive screen led to a stronger urge to buy.
Okay.
But in the other 2, there was no significant difference between the high and low interactivity conditions.
So those engaging screens didn't always translate into a stronger urge to buy specific items?
It seems that way, yeah.
Why do you think that is? Any theories?
Mose points out several factors that might have influenced the results. Remember, she was measuring the urge to buy, not actual purchases?
Right. It's all about the urge at that moment.
Exactly. It's possible someone might feel tempted, but ultimately resist.
Yeah, or maybe the specific items showcased just didn't resonate with them.
That's possible, too. It's like when you browse online and add a bunch of stuff to your cart, but never actually hit buy.
Oh, yeah, totally. The urge was there, but it didn't lead to an actual purchase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another consideration is that in these experiments, participants were asked to use the screens.
Okay.
In the real world, we choose whether or not to engage with those interactive displays.
That's true. Some people might be drawn to them while others walk right past.
Right? It's like those targeted ads online. Sometimes you can't resist clicking,
Ugh, tell me about it.
but other times you just scroll on by.
Yeah, I get that. What I'm taking away from this is that even though the research might not have all the answers, it certainly highlights how these phygital cues can play on our desire for control and influence our buying decisions.
I agree. It raises some important questions for further research. How do these effects differ across different types of products or retail environments?
Yeah, good question.
What about the long-term impact of these technologies on our buying habits? There's still so much to explore.
It really makes you think. But for now, let's move on to those fascinating CSR cues, the ones that appeal to our better nature.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about those.
Companies are really leaning into these feel-good campaigns.
They really are.
But do they actually work?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Let's dive in. So we've seen how those interactive displays can play on our desire for control.
Yeah, they can be pretty sneaky.
But what about appeals to our better nature?
Right.
You know, companies are increasingly promoting their social and environmental good deeds.
It seems like every company wants to be seen as doing good these days.
It's true. But do these messages actually influence our impulse buys? Do they really work?
That's where Ann Mo's research on CSR advertising cues gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
She wanted to know if framing a product as beneficial to a cause
Yeah?
would make people more likely to buy it on impulse.
So are we talking about those cookies again?
We are. Those irresistible cookies were back for another round of experiments.
Okay, so remind me how this worked.
In 3 separate experiments, she used the same delicious cookies,
Same cookies, got it.
but varied the advertising message.
Okay, different messages.
Some ads focused on how enjoyable the cookies were for the consumer, emphasizing taste and satisfaction.
So like treat yourself kind of messaging.
Exactly. Others highlighted how buying those cookies would support a social cause.
Okay, so one's all about you and the other's about doing good.
Right. And remember, she didn't just ask people if they'd buy the cookies.
Right. She let them actually buy them.
Yes, using points earned during the study.
Such a smart way to measure real-world behavior.
Definitely. So what do you think happened? Did those feel-good messages lead to more impulse purchases?
I'm gonna guess yes.
You're right. The results were consistent across all 3 experiments.
Really? So it worked.
It did. Ads emphasizing the cause's benefit led to a significant increase in impulse purchases.
Wow. So when people felt like they were doing good by buying the cookies, they were more likely to justify that unplanned splurge.
Exactly.
What?
It's not just about satisfying our cravings.
It's about feeling good about it.
Right. Mose actually digs deeper into this by distinguishing between 2 types of justifications people use when making impulse purchases.
Okay, there are 2 types.
She identifies deservingness justification and moral justification.
Okay, break it down for me.
Deservingness justification is about why we deserve a treat.
Ooh, I know that one. I worked hard today. I deserve this.
Exactly. We've worked hard, we've been good. We deserve a little reward. It's very self-focused.
Makes sense. What about moral justification? What's that about?
Moral justification is about aligning our actions with a greater good. We buy the cookies not just because we want them, but because it supports a worthy cause. It's about framing the purchase as something ethical, something that makes a difference.
So in Mose's experiments, those cause-focused ads were triggering that moral justification,
It seems that way.
making people feel like they were doing their part by indulging in a cookie.
Exactly. Her findings suggest that this moral justification is a powerful driver of impulse buying,
Especially for those feel-good brands.
especially for products tied to socially responsible companies. However, it's worth noting that she didn't find a direct effect of these CSR cues on impulse buying urges.
Really? So the urge wasn't stronger?
The difference was only apparent when looking at actual purchasing behavior.
So maybe those feel-good messages don't necessarily create a stronger initial urge,
That could be.
but they do make us more likely to act on that urge when it arises.
That's a great way to put it. It highlights the complexity of impulse buying.
It really does. It's not just about willpower.
No,
It's about the interplay of emotions, justifications, and those subtle cues that shape our decisions.
I think that's a really important takeaway from this research.
Well, this entire deep dive has been eye-opening.
It has been fascinating.
We've explored how interactive screens can play on our desire for control, how appeals to social responsibility can tap into our desire to do good,
It's amazing how easily we can be influenced,
and how even mindfulness might not be the silver bullet we thought it was.
right? Maybe it's not as simple as just being more mindful.
Huge thank you to Ann Mose for this groundbreaking research, The Urge to Splurge.
Definitely a must-read for anyone who's interested in this topic.
And to our listeners,
Yeah.
the next time you find yourself reaching for that tempting treat or clicking add to cart on a whim,
Oh, I know that feeling.
take a moment to consider what's driving that decision. Is it a genuine need? A clever marketing tactic? Or a little bit of both?
Food for thought.
It is. That's it for this deep dive into the world of impulse buying.
Until next time.
We'll be back next time with another fascinating exploration. Until then, happy and mindful shopping.